He is now in a situation where his career is in jeopardy of being derailed. Changes have got to be made.
We need you to trim down. Zion Williams is over 300 pounds in that photo. I don't care what anybody tells you.
I quit. I gotta get.
Hey, come on, man.
What it look like, Chuck?
Like me and you had a baby. God dang. This dude, he eat good.
For the past 2 years, we've seen countless and countless memes talking about the problems with Zion. Whether it be injuries, jokes about his weight, or something else. More and more memes continued to get made, and it started to seem that the cool thing to do was to hate on Zion and make more memes. Snowballing and snowballing until finally, even the city of New Orleans themselves decided to make one of the most obscene gestures I've seen in basketball for a long time. Against a player on their own team. Except, Pelicans fans should be holding out hope, not hate. This isn't the first time we've seen this situation. A player that now has 5 All-Stars out of his 8 seasons played, a scoring record, an all-rookie first team, and many more awards was in this same spot not too long ago. Joel Embiid's story is very similar, but somehow there are only a few articles written about it. Stan Van Gundy made a tweet a while back that many people have written about or republished, but not much else is talked about when comparing Zion and Embiid, which is very intriguing. The tweet reads, "It is unfortunate that Zion Williamson has missed so many games in his first 3 years. He is a tremendous talent and one of the most exciting players in the league. But keep things in perspective. He has played almost 3 times as many games as Embiid did in his first 3 years." Now Stan Van Gundy makes a good point here. Despite the hate that Zion was receiving, he has actually played more than the 5-time All-Star. Now this has its own implications. Zion Williamson was one of the most hyped draft picks of all time, receiving attention even in his high school years. With this hype being compared to Kevin Durant, of course the similar Anthony Davis, and even the great LeBron James. Unfortunately, this hype also comes with its price. With the amount of excitement people had to see him play, seeing him play only 19 games in his first season was extremely underwhelming and filled people with immense disappointment. And as Zion sat out for longer and longer, that disappointment began to turn into anger, as people started to point fingers. And of course, the fated word started to loom on the horizon. Bust. As the story progressed, the fans found more and more reasons to hate the number 1 pick. Zion was skipping rehab, ignoring his diet, and continuing to gain weight, with reports saying he ate a lot of pizza, drank a lot of sodas, and did not listen to his physical therapist. Now, as the end of Zion's contract looms in the near future, many question whether to re-sign him. Even the Pelicans executive said talking about an extension would be a challenge and very difficult conversation, while Zion, however, says he'd sign an extension as fast as he could. But as Van Gundy said, maybe we should cut Zion some slack. The iceberg goes much deeper. Let's take a minute and hit rewind.
Joel Embiid, who'd picked up enough momentum to be a favored top pick in Thursday's draft, is the latest of the fallen. The Kansas product injured the navicular bone in his right foot and had 2 screws inserted, which is fitting because this draft has officially become screwy. Embiid's combination of back and foot injuries make him a 7-foot red flag, with that particular foot injury having effectively ended the careers of Yao Ming, Eric Montross, and Bill Walton.
Joel Embiid. In 2014, Embiid was labeled a bust by nearly every major news network as well. Around the time Embiid was drafted, the 76ers were testing a risky strategy that many of you know now as the process, which later became Embiid's nickname. The plan was to intentionally tank for multiple years in order to acquire picks and rebuild the team from the ground up. Because of this, Embiid had a massive amount of pressure and hype around him. This is the guy we put our faith in. This is the guy we traded everything away in order to draft. This is the guy we lost 50 games last season for. What can he possibly accomplish? Sound familiar yet? However, just a week before the draft, Embiid injured his foot, putting him out for the entire 2014 to 2015 season. Embiid later then had to have surgery on his foot, and later recovery evaluation found he re-injured the foot, which put him on the sideline for the entirety of the following 2015 to 2016 season. However, reports came out that this repeated injury and long recovery time was due to the fact Embiid did not follow his trainer's instructions. Embiid would reportedly not even wear his medical boot after receiving his surgery. Embiid as well was very bad at following his recovery diet, like a certain someone we make fun of now. In 2018, many memes started to float around of Embiid eating an entire burger only an hour before a game. In 2020, reports came out that he would make rookies buy him 4 whole milkshakes, 4 Chick-fil-A sandwiches, an order of cookies, and 2 to 3 sides of fries, with the total order cost coming out to almost $250, all for one single person. Now, admittedly, these reports are from a couple years after Embiid's injury in 2015, but that doesn't mean these problems weren't already happening. Sportscasting reports these issues go as far back as his college years, where in Kansas, Jayhawks coach Bill Self called Embiid the least mature eater he ever encountered. This dude would come to the house and go right to the plate of brownies and take the whole plate home, and that would be all that he would eat. During his injury as well, Embiid would, quote, feast on hot dogs and drink entire pitchers of Shirley Temple. However, despite all this, Embiid has earned an all-star appearance for the past 5 years straight, and despite not winning MVP, has finished in the top 3 in the ladder the past 2 seasons. This season, Embiid averages over 30 points and almost 12 rebounds. So how does this stack up for Zion? Well, let's review everything we've discussed. Both were labeled bust because of their massive hype around the time they were drafted. Both had season-long injuries, and both refused treatments and broke their diet plans. However, Zion has played more games than Embiid and actually averaged more than Embiid in the NCAA in every single category except blocks. And despite not playing many games, Zion averages 25.7 career points per game to Embiid's 26.0, only 0.3 behind. Both have teams built for their strengths, meaning that whenever they're absent, the team takes a significant hit. Except, both have differences in their play style. The most obvious difference being, despite their similarities, Embiid is a center, while Zion is a power forward. The most prominent difference I saw is Zion's play is almost exclusively off ball. When searching through game footage, the most dribbles by Zion I counted was 5. That's correct. The most times Zion ever bounced the ball was 5 times in a play. Meanwhile, Embiid is able to do things like this, showing he has much better handles, which he's had to develop over the past couple seasons with the poor performances from Ben Simmons at the point guard position. When we look at the average dribbles per touch, we can see that Embiid averages less dribbles per touch, which would go to prove the opposite point of what I'm making. However, Embiid has nearly double the touches per game, which brings this average down significantly. If we look at the highlights as well, nearly every play by Zion is a lob play or dunk, while Embiid again uses his size to push through the paint and overpower defenders, showing his playmaking and ball handling ability. The question then is what happens to the Pelicans if Zion comes back? Well, we could certainly see their market value increase, with more people buying jerseys and more people buying tickets in order to see Zion alley-oops. The Pelicans finished in the 9th seed this season without him, winning the play-in and even holding the top-seeded Phoenix Suns to 6 games with their phenomenal performance on the defensive end and the playmaking of Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. I think with the addition of Zion averaging almost 26, we could see the Pelicans propelled to the 7th seed or maybe even higher very easily. This would further increase the market with more appearances in the playoffs, selling more expensive tickets, and more televised games. Zion's absence has also been the major news story in New Orleans, being a massive distraction for the franchise and taking attention away from now underrated players like Brandon Ingram, much like how Kyrie drew attention in Brooklyn and Ben Simmons in Philadelphia. With the return, or even the departure, of Zion next season, the news story would start to dissolve, and clarity would return to the Pelicans, as the NBA media would have to find a new story, and could start focusing more on the franchise's successes. With all that said, the Pelicans should not give up on Zion, as there is still hope he turns out to be just as great as previously predicted, and turns the franchise into an absolute powerhouse. Despite the reports of him eating bad and having a slow recovery, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen this. And look at where the 76ers are now. If Zion comes back anytime soon, the Pelicans are going to be a problem in the West. Anyway guys, I appreciate you watching the video, and that's all I got for this one. But I hope to see you again in the next video. I kindly ask, like always, that you like and subscribe if you enjoyed, as it really helps me out and would be greatly appreciated. I'm trying to hit 500 subs by the end of the year, so it would really help me out. Again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now.